Hello everyone and welcome to the Pitskill.io Porsche Cup sponsored by SimQuips. And tonight we are in Monza for a very wet race and the drivers are just getting themselves started in this qualifying session, and as they bring themselves round on their outlap, let's take a little chance to take a look at our series standings. At the moment it is Reese Tattersall leading the way on 200 points ahead of Johan Leff on 180. Johan, who just in the last race got his C license for Pitskill, so very safe racer is Johan, and shows that you can very quickly get yourself a C license if you're safe and sensible in Pitskill. So yeah, don't let the pit rep system put you off for joining. In P3 we have tied Matthew Parry and Robert Weidbeck, both drivers who I believe are present for tonight's race, so will be a chance for one of those to move ahead in the standings. In P5 is Sam McCarthy, followed by Balazs Fehi, Chris Wright, Sergei Sebastian, who is, I believe, still running with hand controls at the moment due to an injury on his leg. In P9 we have Jesse Flowers, Joe Wilson in P10, Isel Attas, Samuel von Liebenstein, Marcus Falk, Daniel Dees and Tadeusz Szynski. And as we head back over, we can catch Balazs Fehi taking us around into the second sector. And, well, interesting here, Balazs has opted for the old 991 Porsche Cup car. It'll be interesting to see how many drivers have opted for that car. It is slightly faster in a straight line due to its less sophisticated aerodynamics. However, that does make it a little bit more of a handful through the corners, so it'll be interesting to see the balance of power here at Monza with its very, very long straights. And also, one consideration is the balance of power. The other consideration is the car control and talent of the driver at the wheel, who is going to have their work cut out for them here at a very, very wet Monza, keeping it out of trouble. But as Balazs goes the final meters to the line, it is a 1:57.2 our first lap, and Florent Demour some 1.6 seconds back. But it is our championship leader, Reese Tattersall, who puts it onto provisional pole with his first lap, a 1:55.4, which is at the moment 2.5 tenths faster than our second place driver, Johan Leff. As I apologise, I do not have the times up for you there. There we go. So Reese Tattersall asserting his dominance on this session straight away. Let's see, what can our series sponsor Chris Wright do? It's at P17 for now with a 2 minutes 9. Not sure if he got caught up in some traffic there or just struggling in these conditions in the Cup car. That was a very slow lap from Wright. Did mention in the chat that he'd only got the opportunity to do one flying lap of practice for this session, so could just be that he needs to warm up and get his eye in. Has got 9.5 minutes remaining of this session to do so. Usually expect to see a bit faster times from Chris as he drops a couple of wheels into the grass and allows the 911 to go around the outside. Let's see, who else do we have out there trying to set a time? Sam McCarthy. Also, we're actually without a lap time entirely. is still valid on this lap. Although a little bit squirrely coming through Ascari. It's going to cost him some time as we've got yellow flags out. Not sure exactly where that was, so driver's able to continue on. We come up into the corner formerly known as Parabolica, and the corner which I don't know what its actual name is. As we cross the line, Sam McCarthy, and it's good enough for P9 for McCarthy. A 1:57.4. Going to be looking to improve on that as Samuel von Liebenstein, going slow at the moment, but has slotted himself into P2 between Tattersall and Leff. And wow, quite the gulf between Leff and Tattersall at the moment as Leff returns to the pits. And it's been these two who have been battling it out for the previous races in this and the last season. But right now it does seem that Leff is struggling in these conditions or with this circuit. As we check in with Joe Wilson, another one of our veteran drivers here in the Porsche Cup. And I just noticed I don't think I have all of the liveries. So I will get that sorted for the race session. My apologies there. Here's Joe Wilson with just one corner to go, but it is an important one around the Parabolica. Keeping it off the curb on the inside. Runs out wide. Keeps his left wheels though off of that painted curb on the left as he crosses the line to go P6 with a 1:56.1. Solid lap from Wilson. But at the moment, it's really the top three who are in a class of their own at the moment. With Tattersall, von Liebenstein and Leff. The slowest of those, almost a second faster than the next driver on track. As we are getting yellow flags all over the place, can only imagine that his drivers are just getting out of the way of the traffic. We do have 31 cars here at Monza tonight. And it is going to be interesting to see how they navigate turn one. But that is a consideration for the future as von Liebenstein is going faster now. Currently 4/10 off of the pace of Tattersall up front, as is his dominance in this series, as Liebenstein goes very wide out over the painted curbing, and that is going to hurt his time. Not much grip out there, I don't imagine. There's time dropping off now. There's the next driver looking to find some improvement. It's Joe Wilson. Currently 6.5 up on his previous best. This could see him charge up the order. He comes around the Parabolica. It's a little bit of a wider line there for Joe. It bleeds time. Coming around the final corner, it's still going to be an improvement, but has definitely left something on the table there, which he's going to have to find something more in the next 4.5 minutes. 1:55.7 for Wilson. Some 0.6 off of Leff and 1.1 seconds off of our pole sitter, Rhys Tattersall. As we scan our field for more improvements, and one I think is coming the way from Harold Katchelmeyer. Again, for any children watching, I do apologise for the livery that Katchelmeyer is running tonight and every night in this Porsche Cup series. Oh, and it's, well, we'll just leave that there. It says a lot. There's Samuel von Liebenstein coming around the Lesmos again. This time a bit tidier than he was the previous lap. He's currently considerably up on his previous best. But is it going to be enough to challenge Tattersall, who's currently 0.4 of a second faster and almost running wide there from von Liebenstein, using every millimetre of the track. Wringing the absolute neck of this Porsche Cup car as he chucks it into Parabolica. There's one corner to go, needs to find the throttle. Bring it in smoothly as he rounds the final corner, and I think just the final corner letting him down there as von Liebenstein crosses the line. It was looking like that one could have potentially been challenging for pole, but he's got the work to do all over again. As John Sawyer in the Porsche Canada car is looking to improve on his time. Currently on a 1:55.9. And could see him jump up a good number of positions as only 0.3 seconds separate himself and P4 of Joe Wilson. A tidy lap could see him jump well up the order. So he bumps over the curb at Sakari. Worth pointing out, actually, John Sawyer, another one of the drivers, running the old Porsche 991. You can tell the difference from the 4 flood lamps at the front and the split brake lights at the rear, as the 992 does have that single long strip of brake light on the back. Actually, the 991, a much narrower car, not so influenced by the GT3 standards. Sawyer crosses the line with a 1:55.2. That moves him up ahead of Joe Wilson by 0.4 of a second. And it is getting close at the top now. Reese Tattersall with a 1:54.6. Both von Liebenstein and Leff behind a 1:54.7. As Leff finding time, barges his way past Tattersall, is on a charge here. As von Liebenstein and Leff separated by just 0.02 of a second. And this lap, which will be the last lap for these drivers, at the moment it is looking like pole position could be a possibility for Leff as he rounds Ascari, navigating the traffic, and oh, that is unfortunate for Leff, just catching the traffic at the wrong time. I think that was Casey, and well, I have to take a look at that, because if Casey was on a lap, really, Leff should have been leaving him space. So it may have jumped just a little bit too far back to actually see what happened there, but yeah, damage on that car, potentially not going to be going as quick as it could have been, but if he was on a flying lap, has every right to be there. So unfortunate as it is for Leff, as John Sawyer comes across the line for another improvement, and 1:54.9 improves his time, not his position though. Just a few more drivers ready to finish their lap as Matthew Parry rounds the final corner. Just a few tenths of a second could see him jump up the order. He's finding a good chunk of time here. Is Matthew Parry. Finds half a second, jumps him up to P5 just behind John Sawyer. As we've got just a few other cars to finish their lap. The first of those will be Jake Elliott, who rounds the final corner now to find a heap of time. Jumps him up into P27, finding over 3 seconds on their final lap. There's Louis. Welcome back, everyone, as our drivers head away onto their formation lap. We've just got some time to go through our race order and format for tonight's race. But on pole position, we have got Reese Tattersall in the Bruce liveried car. Behind is Von Liebenstein, followed by Leff. Leff running a modified livery to their usual, so don't get confused by the slightly different colours we're seeing on that Porsche tonight. In P4 is the first of our 991s, I believe. Yep, it is, with John Sawyer. In P5 is Matthew Parry. Behind him is Joe Wilson, who we finally have the livery for, and well, not sure if I regret getting that livery or not now. The pizza themed livery for tonight. In P7 we have got Balazs Fahir. Behind him is Daniel Dees, another 991. Behind him is Robert de Weidbeck. And then we have Van der Kraan. Behind him is our Porsche Cup Series veteran Sam McCarthy, running in P11. P12 is Busso. In P13 is Collins. Following him is Eklund. Behind him is Anshul. And then we have Peltzer. P17 is our series sponsor, Mr. Chris SimQuips Wright. Do check out his YouTube channel at SimQuips, all one word. I'm sure he'll have a video up of this race later, and may actually even be streaming this race. So yeah, go check out his YouTube channel. In P18 we have got a Lorenzon by Tranmere and Mikulak. In P21 is Svoboda. Behind him are Booth, Demore and Sosinski. In P25 is Hoffman. And he is followed by Skinner and by Elliott. Then rounding out the back of our grid are Nitro, Casey, Katchermeyer and Drenth. And as our drivers line up 2 by 2 to finish this formation lap, we are but moments away from the green flag here at Monza and what is bound to be a hectic turn 1. As the lights go green and we are racing in Monza, and it is a good start from Reese Tattersall, who pulls away from Von Liebenstein, who's under pressure from Leff. Leff's going to have to watch his braking though, as he's going to have the car of Tattersall ahead. We come into the braking zone for turn 1. So far, so sensible as our drivers make their way through. As we got contact. A few cars off the circuit. Yellow flags out. And a little bit more bumping in the background. In the end, it was turn 2 that caught out our drivers. As Drent looking to get back on circuit. That had me very confused there, as I thought that was Reese Tattersall who'd spun out, but I think someone's just purloined their livery, as our grid is now bookended by drivers in the Bruce livery. As Johan Leff has got himself up into P2 in this race, but Reese Tattersall are driving away from the rest of the field now. Up in P1 and under no pressure at the moment, as Johan Leff finding himself chased by Samuel von Liebenstein and Joe Wilson just behind. Will be interesting to see as we come around to the Ascari chicane. We head on to back straight towards Parabolica. As they come out of Parabolica, how are these 911s going to handle that long straight? Put up in the slipstream behind the chonkier 992s. But the car we're going to keep an eye on is that of John Sawyer, who I think might just be a little bit too far back from Wilson to really take advantage of that slippery 991. Although, that being said, you can see the straight line speed advantage as John Sawyer looks towards the inside. And you have to imagine if he'd started that straight any closer to the car ahead of him, that would have been a real overtaking opportunity. So these 991s not so good through the corners, but absolutely savage along the straights. As Matthew Parry and Daniel Dees go side by side through the Curva Grande. We head down towards the second chicane. There's Matthew Parry with the inside line. Dees leaving plenty of space, cutting back, going to look to get the better exit. Oh, Bella has to get out of the throttle, avoid running into the back of Parry, and there's good car control there from Dees. Keeping it safe in these conditions is not going to be the easiest. As Marco Lorenzon looking up the inside of Tranmere is going to take the inside line into Lesmo 2. As Tranmere runs out very wide, and gets a little bit of a slide there. As Lorenzon has to back out slightly, but manages to carry just that bit more speed and moves himself up into P15. And next on the road behind Tranmere is Chris Wright, our series sponsor. It's not quite close enough as Tranmere is now challenging the back of Lorenzon, but up towards the front we've had a change of position as Matthew Parry runs very wide into the Parabolica and gets overtaken by Daniel Dees. As Dees using the power of that 991, I say the power, it's the slipperiness of the 991, catches up to the back of Parry, but not quite close enough to make a move. As David Collins, a little bit of a touch there, I think, with the car of Fahir. Didn't look like there was contact. As they come through, maybe we see a bit more from this angle. I'm not sure if there was contact. What do my logs tell me? I'm not seeing Fahir's name on the contact logs. But he has now spun and is back in P20 with this grid so close. Any small mistake is greatly punished. As there is a train forming behind David Collins for P8. There's Van der Krant looking up the inside of Peltzer. It's going around the outside of Ascari. Brave moves here. as Busso looks to get involved in that action as well. And we've got the slipstream train forming behind. Oh, as Busso getting a little over-eager on the throttle. Has to collect himself, and that is going to cause him to drop just slightly behind Peltzer, who can concentrate on pushing forward with his attack on Van der Kraan. As I think we may have just had an incident for Mikulak. Oh, Mikulak going very deep on the Parabolica, and this just meant he gets eaten alive by the cars behind. So in the end, not a huge incident, but oh wow, there's an incident as Gregor Mikulak spinning onto the escape road and is going to be able to rejoin safely, but that has cost him a number of positions as he's now down in P28, battling with Harold Katzelmeier. As the battle for P8 continues, this group of cars behind David Collins, who's got a little bit more of a gap now back towards Peltzer, but Busso all over the back of Peltzer and will be looking to optimise his exit here from Ascari. Oh, and that is not optimal as he heads into the wall and back onto circuit, and actually maintaining decent racing speed there for someone who has just clouted the wall so heavily, but does lose another position to Sam McCarthy. McCarthy up into P11, and Busso, I can only imagine, is carrying heavy damage to the front of that car as it twitches all over the place. Ooh, as John Sawyer finding himself off the road. Coming down towards the Prima Variante. Whoa! Deep on the brakes. And completely overshoots the corner. And I think in the end just realises he hits the brakes too late and slides straight through. Oh, John Sawyer with a... What? Oh, okay, we're watching that again, because that... I want to see this from on board. What on earth happened here? Oh, on the grass. Slides it straight through onto the track and manages to get it going. Wow, he was lucky not to collect anyone there as... oh, where has John Sawyer gone? Oh, okay, he is still alive. That's good. Whew. John Sawyer having it all happening to him over the past 30 seconds. Is back on the track and actually hasn't lost out too much. Finds himself down in P7 under pressure from Daniel Dees, and I imagine with a considerable amount of rubber missing from his tyres and maybe some more skid marks elsewhere, but very much still in this race. As Johan Leff has closed up the gap to Reese Tattersall, now sitting at 0.6 seconds. This hasn't turned into the runaway race that we feared it may have been, as Johan Leff throughout this race getting used to the conditions and is managing to find some pace. As already so much has happened and we're only 10 minutes into this race, as Svoboda looks to the outside of Marco Lorenzo as we head down into the first chicane. Svoboda doesn't need to throw it around the outside as Lorenzo brakes early, or perhaps more to the point, Svoboda brakes quite late and not only doesn't get the move made on Lorenzo, But has also lost positions to Feyheer, Van der Kraan and Weidbeck. So that move very much not working in their favour. And with all that work remaining to do again. As tonight it does seem David Lee is correct in the chat. The commentator's curse in supreme form. I don't think I should be complimenting anyone's driving at this point. As Chris Wright is now in the slipstream of Luke Tranmere. We head down towards Ascari. Wright's going to look towards the outside as Tranmere defends the inside line. Is Wright going to be able to carry the speed through? No, goes for the switchback. Just going to aim to get the optimal exit from Ascari as Tranmere very much does not get an optimal exit. Well out onto the curb and very nearly takes it off into the tyre wall. They're side by side coming down towards the... What the... How did he park there? Is that Colin? No, I don't know who that is. It is Collins. Just levitating. Yeah, never mind. I think he's disconnected. Either that or he's now got a hover car. Chris Wright up into P12 and John Sawyer has been off the track again. That's at the first chicane again. How did he... I was going to say, how did he get over to the escape road from there? Looks like a carbon copy of that mistake he made earlier. Again, another 360. End up on the escape road and keep going. I mean, if this was stunt driving we're doing tonight, 10 out of 10 for John Sawyer, but not going to end up being the fastest way around the racetrack, that's for sure. There's Simon Eklund, who's getting close to Sam McCarthy, who seems to be getting on the twitchy side a little bit. As they come on the run down the long back straight towards Ascari. As unfortunately, I think we have missed a change for the lead. I'm not sure when that happened, but Johan left leading the way. It looks like he has been for quite some while. Some 2 seconds back is Rhys Tattersall. And well, we're going to have to see if we can see that one in the highlights after the race. I can only imagine some sort of incident for Tattersall for him to drop quite so far back. Yes, because I called him dominant earlier and now making mistakes. Seems to be the nature of how this race is going. As we now got a train forming behind Sam McCarthy. Under pressure from Eklund, Busso, and now Chris Wright is joining the party. As they all try to get a good exit from the first chicane. No one wants to be spinning up their rears on the curbing like we've seen from Peltzer a couple of times. As we come around the Curva Grande into the second chicane. Heavy on the brakes and Simon Eklund applying the pressure to Sam McCarthy. Just had to back out of it a little bit by the looks of things to avoid going into the back of McCarthy, and that has pushed Eklund backwards towards Busso. So easy when people are racing in this close proximity to go from the attacker to the attacked. As behind this group, Tadeusz Szynski looking to come around the outside of Luke Tranmere. Luke Tranmere, who does seem to be struggling a little bit at this midpoint in the race. Lost the position to Chris Wright earlier, and now one to Tadeusz. As Tadeusz exits Ascari and looks to join onto the back of the snake ahead. as it winds its way round towards the Parabolica, led by Sam McCarthy. This group of cars all running the Porsche 992. The car which has quite a strong slipstream effect, as we saw at Paul Ricard last season, with drivers swapping position on the long back straight every lap. But here at Monza, I think with just that little bit more aero taken off of these cars, slipstream effect not quite as strong as it was. Perhaps also due to these wet conditions, just delaying how soon these drivers can get onto the throttle. As we come into the second chicane, Eklund looking like he's got the pace through the corner, but not able to utilise it on the exit. Maybe needs to try and have a little bit of restraint there through the middle of the corner so he can optimise his exits. Clearly got good positioning, but ends up catching onto the back of McCarthy too quickly and has to delay his throttle application on exit. It's allowed Busso again to be right on the back of Eklund. So we come down towards Ascari. Busso moves out to have a look. Probably going to be a bit too far back to attempt anything here. But letting Eklund know he's there. Applying the pressure. And a little bit of a wiggle there from Busso as he... I'm not sure if he's looking up the side of Eklund there or if he's just trying to keep that car under control. As ahead of these, Matthew Parry on the attack of the pizza liveried Joe Wilson as they make their way past Strength. As Parry comes through the curve, Grande is dropped just a little bit back from Wilson now, so pressure alleviated somewhat. As there appears to have been a attack of Chris Wright onto Busso. So you get a nose ahead under braking. Looks like he did just about, but not the position to be going for a lunge, and Chris Wright backing out of it sensibly. And having to make do with P11 for now, as Luke Tranmer takes to the runoff. Was in a battle with Lorenzon, now drops that a little bit further back due to that off track. As... oh, I think there was an off track for Leff, as... is this at the exit of Ascari? Yeah, Leff running very wide onto the runoff, and this has allowed Reese Tattersall through back into the lead of this race. Well, at least we call that lead change, as Johan Leff drops back to P2 and Reese Tattersall, our new race leader. Yeah, Leff not giving this one up, staying in the slipstream. Thought of looking to the inside, but a bit too far back for the attack into turn one. Will continue to follow as they head around onto another lap. And yellow flags for Busso. Ooh, one hell of a slide. Manages to collect it back together. But that was certainly a bit of a squeaky bum time there for Busso. Thank you for subscribing there, Vanderkrant. You incredibly confused me there, as I thought you were the driver in this race, but guess you're a relation. Thank you very much for subscribing. As Busso looking to get back past Marco Lorenzo. Is extremely close now, but not quite close enough to affect a move, as Luke Tranmer's also looking to get involved in this action. They head down towards Ascari. Busso up the inside of Lorenzo, well ahead into the braking zone, and Marco lets that one go, as Busso up into P13 in this race. And behind, it is absolute mayhem, as three drivers separated by about half a second. They come down towards the Parabolica. Who goes where? And it's Luke Tranmer going very wide out onto the AstroTurf. Does well to keep the car pointing in the right direction. Loses a bunch of time as Marco Lorenzo back on the attack of Busso, getting into the slipstream as they head down towards the first chicane yet again. And Busso aggressively defending the inside, does not want to give it up, and forcing Lorenzo to try and take the long way round. Lorenzo getting his car well ahead there, and yet nothing Busso could do about that one. A little bit of a door bang, but that's all just nice clean racing. Oh, as Busso off into the grass. And what happened there? Was there contact with the car behind? Oh, out onto the curbing. Oh, yeah, a little bit of a contact with Rybet there, but I think it was more caused by Busso going off onto the outside of the track and trying to rejoin. Actually, sorry, that wasn't Rybet, that was Van der Krant, who is now on the attack of Lorenzo. In the slipstream as we head down towards Ascari. Not going to be close enough to try a move here, but is continuing to apply the pressure. And still just under 7 minutes remaining of this race. Still plenty of time to try and get himself up into P13. He's got a run hit on Lorenzo as they come down the long back straight towards the Parabolica. It is Patrick Van der Krant round the outside. Carries the speed. Is he going to be able to have the exit here? Well, keeping his foot in. You can just see how the rear's trying to step away from him. That is supreme bravery. And they're side by side running down the entirety of the back of the start-finish straight. This is superb racing from the pair of them. It looks like Patrick Van der Krant with just the little bit of overspeed required and has got the move made into the first chicane. And wow, that is sensational racing from the pair of them there. Really thought Van der Krant could have lost it around the Parabolica, but in the end up into P13. As Matthew Parry has just dropped back from Joe Wilson. So what's happened here? So it looked like Parry trying to make a move up the inside as, oh, Joe Wilson takes to the escape road, and I wonder if it could be argued there that Joe Wilson has gained a lasting advantage from going off track. One for the stewards perhaps, but yeah, not the sort of thing we like to see. As Busso is trying to make his way past Robert Weibeck, goes around the outside. Busso carrying that damage on the car, I suspect, from his turn 1 incident. He's now made himself back up to P17 in this race. As Matthew Parry is back on the attack of Joe Wilson. If he manages to make it past him soon, I'm sure all will be forgiven for that off-track excursion as he tries to catch his way up. As Chris Wright on the attack of Simon Eklund is going to be forced to take the long way around the first chicane. He's just got his nose ahead. Going to have to go deep on the brakes and just try and carry the speed around the outside. Make sure Eklund can't come back. Actually, no, Eklund leaving the space there. Doesn't fight it. And Chris Wright into the top 10. With just under 4 minutes of this race remaining. There's Joe Wilson getting a little bit squirrely coming through the first of the Lesmos. As we come down on the back straight towards Ascari. Harry closing in on Joe Wilson again. Parry using absolutely all of the track out onto the exit curb. He's determined to get this position off of Joe Wilson. As we come around the Parabolica. Start lap 15 of this race for this pair. Our lead pair have somewhat run away with this race, with Rhys Tattersall now with a considerable advantage over Johan Leff. Although we have seen numerous times before that lap just be completely absorbed by a mistake. So this race isn't over just yet. But we're going to keep our eyes here on Matthew Parry versus Joe Wilson. As it did look like Joe Wilson just struggling there through the first chicane. This has presented an opportunity to Matthew Parry, who looks like he wants to try and take the outside line. Wants to avoid giving Joe Wilson the opportunity of taking that runoff again. Or as Matthew Parry with the much better run out of the corner. Joe Wilson getting himself up onto the exit curbing. As they head towards Ascari. Matthew Parry looks to the outside. Or as Joe Wilson tries to carry a lot of speed through the corner. He's going to have his line compromised here. This could be the opportunity Matthew Parry's been looking for. Wilson defends the inside. Parry to the outside. They're side by side around the Parabolica, keeping it close together, keeping it pinned. Who's going to have the run out of the corner? There's Matthew Parry ahead for now. But Joe Wilson's not giving this one up. As Parry looks to defend the inside. Defends the middle of the road. Doesn't give Joe Wilson much of an option to go around him. And Matthew Parry consolidates that position up into P4 for now. On what will be the final lap of this race. As actually Joe Wilson dropping back now and under attack from Daniel Dees, who takes the opportunity, grasps it with both hands and up himself into P5. Superb stuff there, opportunistic racing from Daniel Dees. And a good result for the 991 driver. And as our race leader, Rhys Tattersall, brings it down towards the Parabolica for the final time in this race, followed not far behind by Johan Leff. One corner to go before he sees the checkered flag and takes his second win here in the Porsche Cup Series. Should I say that? Second win? No, it's not. It's his third win. He's won every round so far. As Rhys Tattersall takes the win, followed by Johan Leff and Samuel von Liebenstein rounding out the podium tonight. Matthew Perry with a well-earned fourth position. And Daniel Dees snatching P6 away from Joe Wilson. They're followed behind by John Sawyer, who takes P7, and Matthias Peltzer, who takes P8. In the end, Sam McCarthy brings it home in P9, followed behind by Chris SimQuips Wright. The 11 is taken by Simon Eklund, Dias Sasinski, P12, followed by Patrick van der Kraan, Marco Lorenzon, and in P15 is Luke Tranmer. As the rest of our drivers come across the line, just remains to congratulate our race winner, Rhys Tattersall, who is doing donuts in the runoff. A well-earned victory here at Monza. And thank you very much for watching, everyone. If you would like to get involved with the Porsche Cup racing here or any of the daily GT3 racing we have going on, you can join pitskill.io with the referral link down in the description of this video. We would be delighted to have you on the grid with us. And until next week, where the Pitskill.io Porsche Cup, sponsored by SimQuips, goes to Watkins Glen, I have been your host, Roy Weller, and thank you very much for watching. Please do hang around, where we will show you the highlights of tonight's race in about 2 minutes' time. Good night.